tough act to follow. I think just to respond to the UJ student, thank you very much for coming and raising what I think is a very important issue. I think we've got a bright future as a country if people like you, even at first year level, I think come and engage and shape our priorities as a country. I think you're perfectly correct that people shouldn't start learning about politics at post-school level. But I think if politics is going to be introduced as a serious area of scholarly work at school level, it also needs to be done differently. So in the same way that I was arguing further that earlier that politics and media writings about politics need to be done differently, teaching about politics needs to be done differently. We need to recognize the fact that politics isn't necessarily made by political parties, and the apex of politics isn't necessarily Parliament. Someone who I can't remember made the point that often parliamentary politics represents not the high point of political practice in any given society. It often represents the hardening of the arteries of the practice of politics in many countries. So I think until and unless we start to recognize the fact that people make politics, we make politics, and that often once politics becomes congealed, if you like, into formalized structures like political parties and parliamentary representation, it's often where those kinds of containers in which politics go to die. If we think, for instance, of the Fees Must Fall movement, and we think of how, in a matter of weeks, it shook the country, and yet it got the higher education system to a point that vice-chancellors claim they have been trying to get the system through negotiation with government over many, many years. And I think that shows the power of ordinary people, students in this case, taking things into their own hands, shaping politics in a way that I think really made us wake up, question the assumptions that we had about what was achievable and what wasn't. I think that the points that were made by Yusuf, and thank you very much for coming all this way from Vereniging to be with us this evening. I think the points that Yusuf made about journalism do make me a bit uncomfortable. I mean, I am aware, and hopefully it came through from our presentation, that the kind of mainstream media that we have in the country at the moment suffers from a combination of state and corporate control, state and corporate capture, if you like. And we often under-acknowledge the pressures on the freedom of the media that come not just without, but from within the media too. But relatively speaking, the media enjoy a tremendous amount of freedom relative to other tiers of our society. In fact, I think we can even go as far as referring to at least two experiences of democracy in our country. Ivor spoke about the fact that we are a relatively free country. But if you are a political activist in a place like Mpumalanga, for instance, if you are a councillor who is speaking out about corruption and mismanagement in the Northwest, if you are a member of an organization like Abahlayo Basindrindolo, for instance, in KwaZulu-Natal, you are likely to have a very different experience of democracy and the extent of democracy than if you are a middle-class person who partakes of the democratic rights and freedoms that so many middle-class people enjoy, including the largely middle-class media. We have a phenomenon that is spreading throughout the country, unfortunately like wildfire, of political assassinations, where whistleblowers who speak out about issues that are affecting their respective communities are just simply removed. There have been practically no arrests, much less prosecutions and convictions in these particular cases, which is why it's becoming almost like the form of censorship of choice of many people who want to limit debate about important and pressing issues of the day. So I don't think it helps us to actually generalize a middle-class experience of democracy to the rest of society, because I don't think it's necessarily even applicable at the moment.